My hot beat the shit out of someone who broke into her house the other night. I was sleeping over at my gal's. She lives one street over from the middle of nowhere, no street lights, no sidewalks, and keeps her house dark at night except for the room she's in to attract bats and detract bugs. I think it was like 2 a.m. when I woke up to my Geff telling me to call 911. Long story short, a guy had broken a window into the garage and was going through my car. He had a knife, but my cob is a shotgun unloaded and wanted to scare him off with it. Cops really gave us a verbal shakedown for that B. We heard flock idiots and don't ever confront a burglar, but this guy was clearly unhinged and charged us. I don't really remember how it happened, but my Guff somehow tripped him, or maybe he tripped on his own, and then started basically tamping this guy's rib cage down into his lungs with the stock. I had to physically stop her a little bit about my Geff. She cries when she sees sick or hurt animals. She's constantly doing or offering to do nice things for people. She won't even squish bugs. She catches them and releases them if she finds any. She's a Buddhist. Nonviolence is important to her. Before this, I described her as the gentlest person I knew. So what the fuck? After I stopped her, she was so calm. She sat cross-legged on the floor and then made a call to a lawyer before the cops even got there. No charges for Chev yet. Lawyer has been helpful, cops less so. They wanted to arrest Emmy when they got there for some reason, and my Geff had to actually ask for an ambulance for the guy because they tried to just load him into the police car, and he was screaming and moaning. He lived but is still in the hospital. It's been 2 days since this happened, and I still feel like my heart is racing every time I see my Geff. I see her covered in blood with a shotgun. It hasn't changed how I feel about her, but goddamn, it's changed how I see her. Apiate. Clarifying a few things, I didn't think this would get any attention. First, F is doing good all things considered. Shevin was worried that the blood was hers. The guy came in pre-wounded because there were bloody handprints on my car. He was definitely on something. My F is currently taken a bunch of drugs since she was exposed to his blood too. Have talked much about what happened, and I'm not going to push her right now. I am worried about her. I'm taking care of her. I've been staying with her since this happened and feeding her. Seven said to bake a cake. I'm a professional chef, also apparently an idiot. After this, I'm going to the store. A lot of people seem to think my view of her has changed for the worse. That is deeply untrue. Reading my post, I realize I made it sound that way, so that's my fault. It's still pretty fresh in my mind and I am processing things on the go. I was just having difficulty reconciling this new view of her with who I thought she was before, but I realize now that she hasn't changed. I just learned more about her, and what I learned is that she's certified Bantaste, to quote many of you in the comments. Also, a lot of people are calling me out for not helping more. Don't get me wrong, I feel guilty that I didn't do much other than call 911 in the moment. I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for myself because I was still absolutely scared shitless, but my Geff didn't really give me a chance to help. This all happened very quickly. By the time she woke me up, she was armed and out of bed. I am deaf in one ear and a heavy sleeper anyway, so I'm glad she woke me up at all. I'm not sure why the shotgun was loaded. She only told me afterwards. I was expecting her to shoot him, not beat him half to death. The cops, I won't get into it, but my Geff has had issues with the local cops before. She lives in a town that barely qualifies for its own police department, and the one they do have has nothing to do 99% of the time. They seemed like they were in a rush to get finished with us the whole time they were there. I think they were probably pissed off they got called out on 4th of July for something that actually requires paperwork. Thank you everyone in the comments. I've read every single one of them so far. There's a lot of good advice there and a good amount of deserved criticism that I am open to. How else do you improve?